Hey everybody, I'm so excited to have this guest on tonight because a lot of people have been asking me to talk about this topic. And it's Alexandria Rosa. If you've not met her yet, she is amazing. And I know she's really making her rounds in LinkedIn Live right now and other podcasts right now, or other, I should say other social media contexts. But she's going to be talking about life lessons learned while in quarantine. Many of you probably know what that means, right? But we're going to discuss that tonight, but I'm not going to tell you what that means quite yet. So anyway, Alexandria Rosa, she is from Ohio, and she's a RN and a BSN, which we're going to talk about what that means later. She's a creator of and founder of Spice You and Spice Body, and we're going to discuss that later too. She's an educator and holistic nurse who is currently completing her doctoral degree, in nursing while also managing a family. And she has a full-time job and knows how hard it can be to stay in balance, take care of yourself, and still get things done. Now here comes a big thing. So she also has had COVID. She's a COVID survivor, and she has many great ideas of staying healthy during these times too. And we're going to talk about that later too, which is very exciting. Alex helps other caring professionals and educators who seek to live more balanced lives, and she also provides tools, strategies, and support so they can learn to live in ease, experience less stress, and take lots of things off their to-do list. We're going to talk about that too. And there's a surprise at the end, so you guys have to watch till the end to learn about the surprise. So reach out to Alex, and she can tell you how you can become healthier and more effective in all aspects of your life. And with that, Alexandria, are you ready? So excited.
I'm ready.
Hi, yay.
Hey, everybody.
Hi. So Alexandria, I think I gave that a pretty good background on you, but would you like to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So I am a registered nurse, and I am from Ohio. I am near the Cleveland area, about 20 minutes away from the Cleveland area. That makes more sense to people. Yeah, and I'm finishing up my doctorate degree in nursing. I'm actually going to graduate this May, so I'm so excited. It's been a very long process, and COVID has definitely slowed that down. But yeah, I have a family. I've got 3 kids. I've got a 17-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 4-year-old. And I have been working at the bedside as a travel nurse doing ICU for many, many years. And I've kind of done all the different parts of nursing that you can do: inpatient, outpatient, long-term, acute, home, you name it. I've done it because I've been a nurse aide, and I've been an LPN, and then an RN, and now finishing up my doctorate. So done a little bit of everything, and I've absolutely loved it, and have been teaching first-year nurses, first-year RN students for the past, I think, almost 3 years now. I've been doing that, and I absolutely love teaching. So when I finish up my doctorate, definitely want to continue teaching and running my business and just teaching others. I absolutely love it.
That's fabulous. So will you tell us a little bit about what a BSN is? Because I do not know.
Sure. That is a great question. So BSN just means your bachelor's degree. So when you go for your RN, so when I got my registered nursing license, I went to my local community college. I fully support community colleges. That's actually where I started off, and I got my nurse aide degree was because I went to my local community college and got my nurse aide training done there, and got my registered nurse, my associate's degree. So you might see ADN, you might hear nurses say ADN, just means your associate degree of nursing. And so you can get that. So that's the kind of students that I teach right now. And then you can go back to get your bachelor's degree. So that's what I did. I got my associate's degree first, and then I went back and got my bachelor's. So my BSN, my bachelor's of science in nursing.
Wonderful. So I was like, the other day I said, what exactly is the BSN? I had no idea. I was like, that's something I asked her right off the bat, so people know that is. So a little bit about you, and also I just want to let everybody know that we're gonna bring up your comments throughout the show. We'll probably just recognize you in the beginning and more in the middle and the end. But I do want to recognize Anthony Reed really quick, because he was one of the first people to say, I'm gonna watch you on the show, Alexandra.
Oh, yes. I love Anthony. He's wonderful.
Yeah. So, so thank you, Anthony, for joining us. And also Philip Jones is here. So he's
Hi,
excited to
Phil.
see you too. Yeah.
Thank you.
And of course, we got DJ here. She's your big fan. One of your biggest fans, right, DJ?
Yay! Love DJ.
Yep. Yep. Hey, DJ. So tell us a little bit about what happened with you when you contracted COVID, because I know a lot of people are interested in learning more about that. Unfortunately, you did really well with it, and you can talk about your other people in your family that have contracted it too, and how you've been able to deal with that. Thank you.
Yeah, so I had been working like the entire pandemic doing ICU bedside and never got sick. And then right before Thanksgiving, I'll tell the whole story. And I don't even know if I told you this whole story when we first started talking about this. Was my husband and I had decided to go on a vacation, and we had planned this out like years and years ago. And we were set to leave over Thanksgiving break, and it was just me and him going. And so, we had packed all the kids away, went to my mom's house, and kids went wherever they were going. And so we decided to make sure we got our COVID test before we left to Florida. And we were deciding, we were like, should we wait till we get to Florida, or should we do it before? So we said, well, let's just do it here before we leave. So our flight was like set to leave at like noon or 1:00. So we went in the morning to get our tests. My test came back positive. His test came back negative, and I could not believe it. I could not believe it. I had like no symptoms. The only thing I really had was maybe a little bit of a headache, but I didn't think anything of it because I get migraines every now and then. So I was like, that's not really nothing. And I couldn't believe it. So I hurried up, and I was like in shock, and I was trying to figure out, I was like, we got this plane to catch. What are we going to do? So I hurried up and found another place I could get a test at. Went and got another test, came back positive, and I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. So away to the other side of my house, I went by myself, and I was like, what are we going to do? Like, I've got 3 kids, and I was still teaching and all the things. And I was like, what am I going to do? So I ended up getting it before Thanksgiving. And then most recently, our 4-year-old got it and rang in the new year with COVID. And then he was the only one that got sick. When I got sick, I was the only one that got sick. Nobody else did. And then when my 4-year-old got sick, he was the only one to get sick. Way back when COVID first started back in 2020, my oldest, he's now 17, but he was 16. He contracted it. And he had it. That was before the vaccine and everything else, and he had gotten sick. So he's had it. I've had it. My 4-year-old. So just my husband and my 14-year-old daughter have not had COVID yet. So yeah.
I know that you were saying that your 4-year-old the other day, you're like, he keeps me up all night, like, because you said that he just couldn't sleep. That was his big problem, right? He just couldn't sleep.
Yeah,
that was. That would be more than that, but
yeah, that was one interesting side effect or symptom of COVID that I hadn't really heard about was insomnia. And I had terrible insomnia when I was sick. And I think a lot of it, though, had to do with anxiety. I think it was a lot of anxiety. And I think, too, with my 4-year-old, I think it was that, too, because he kept asking, am I sick? Am I sick? And I think it was really mentally, kind of bothering him that he felt like something was wrong with him because he doesn't really get sick very often. None of my kids have really gotten very sick often. And I think that just kind of weighed on him too. So he was the same way. I mean, he was up till 7 a.m, you guys, one time, 7 a.m. He was
when did that just happen? Because I know you're like, oh, Jenny, he's been out all night. Like, I'm so tired. And then you're like, yes, he slept last night. I remember the day you told me he said you slept all night. You're like, oh my God, you finally slept all night. Like, you can't believe it. See, the name of this podcast today is Lessons Learned During Quarantine. Yeah. So even though you're a nurse and they're telling you these certain things are going to happen possibly during COVID, right? You're learning other things that are happening. Maybe maybe some of these doctors don't even know that. And by the way, you guys, I did not start us off by saying these are our opinions, these are our comments. So please, if these comments and whatever we're saying do not coincide with your belief systems, please know that she's a nurse, but I am not a nurse or a doctor. So I'm having people on for my podcast, for the PodcastNotPodcast, or people that do have autoimmune diseases and have contracted things that people are interested in hearing about. So I just wanted to say that at the beginning, but I was so excited to like introduce her and bring her on. I didn't even say that. And that's like the most important thing I should say. And I always tell people, remember, I'm not a doctor or a nurse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it is. It's our opinions. It's our experiences. You know, whatever you believe, that's what you believe. And, you know, this could be kind of triggering if, you know, you're a little sensitive to this, because it is a sensitive topic. And there's been a lot of people who have not had positive experiences with COVID. And we've had a lot of people pass away. And as a nurse, that was really hard to get used to, working a shift and having multiple people. And this is why I say trigger warning, because we're going to talk about serious stuff, you know, working 12 hours. And I've worked ICU for years and years and years. And I'm used to having people pass away during a shift, a cold, whatever, we would have people pass away. But once COVID started happening, I mean, we were having like 3 or 4 people die back to back to back in like one shift.
Jeez.
And sometimes, unfortunately, that would happen to like one nurse, where she would have maybe like 2 of her patients pass away or crash on the same shift. And I mean, emotionally, that was like taxing, because when somebody codes in the ICU, I mean, it's all hands on deck, and everybody, if you're in those adjoining rooms, you're jumping in on that to help your fellow coworker. And I mean, to keep going through that shift after shift, and then have to like come out of that situation, and then you'll take care of the next person and try to act like nothing happened. I mean, and that's what continues to happen. It's just taking a big emotional toll on the nurses. And it was really, really difficult to get used to. And that's probably not what I learned in quarantine, but definitely one of the lessons that I learned this pandemic has been, you know, just really taking care of yourself, because of all this added emotional stress that's been going on. It's a lot to deal with, and then to go straight into a normal, quote unquote, normal situation. It's a lot to deal with.
Yes. And I would say it's going to be difficult on the doctors too, because they're running in, nurses are running in all together. And it's kind of like, people don't always consider the nurses. They think of the doctors, and they really need to think of the people that are helping the doctors. And you guys have to understand, if you have parents that are in nursing homes or assisted living homes or in the hospital, they're even in these other places, they're dealing with the nurses calling in sick because they have COVID right now. I mean, my mom's place has had 2 more nurses call in sick, and they do have COVID. And my mom's there, and my mom's like, where's my medicine? My mom's like, she's mad at them. I'm like, don't be mad at them, because this is going on all over the world. And I think people don't understand that it isn't just an Ohio problem. It's just not just a Florida problem or a New York City problem. It's or LA problem. It's everywhere. It's everywhere around the world. And so everyone's getting PTSD. We've talked about this, Alexandria. One of your friends I'll probably have on pretty soon. She's going through the same thing. So I mean, they're all very stressed right now. Even if you just go see your doctor, say, hey, I think I have a cold. That doctor's stressed out because they might have just seen somebody they just told they had COVID, you know, or they just tested for COVID and they tested positive or didn't test positive. That doctor's stressed out too. Even in a facility, it's a regular doctor's office. So I think a lot of people just need to take control over their own emotions too. I know this topic, like I said, is very controversial, and whether or not you believe in it or not, it's very hard for me to believe that people don't believe in this, because there are too many people that have passed, too many people that have been affected. If it's not even them, it can be somebody that they know, that they're related to, whatever. That's enough of my little going off on that. But I'm serious. I mean, I'm witnessing this myself with my mom. My sister's husband had it a year ago at Thanksgiving, and he got it again. He's been vaxxed 3 times. Their 2 kids just got it. They're like in they're teenagers. So it's kind of like, even though they've all been vaxxed, does not mean that they're going to be safe. So you've got to still wear your mask. You still got to do what you're supposed to do and take care of yourself and your family.
Yeah. And
That's
for
my
myself,
soapbox.
Yeah.
That was my soapbox. Thank you.
Yeah. And so, and like for myself, like I was fully vaccinated. I have both of my vaccinations and my booster, and so does my husband, and so do the kids. The only one that wasn't vaccinated was my little one because he's not old enough to get vaccinated. Yeah. So, and that's the thing. Like we were trying to do our best to do what we could to protect him because he couldn't be vaccinated. And I do have to say, that's why we're saying this is just from my perspective, my experience. And, my experience comes with seeing patients firsthand in the hospital. And my experience, I'm very thankful for. I mean, I was sick, but I'm thankful that I was able to be at home and I wasn't on oxygen and I was still able to take care of myself and do the things that I needed to do for myself. Even though I was very sick, I was very short of breath. I have my only underlying like comorbidity, my only other health issue that I had that would put me at risk is my asthma. So I have asthma. It's really well controlled, but when I think it was maybe like 2 days in after, I can't remember what day I tested, but it was like 2 days after that, I started getting very short of breath and just walking. I think it was only like 12 feet from my room to the bathroom was like, I would get so out of breath and so tired. And sometimes just laying there, my chest would feel very tight and it would burn. And then that would precipitate more anxiety. And it was just like this cycle that I really had to break myself out of, and where I really had to use up here to get me out of that cycle of anxiety, because I have had issues with anxiety in the past and panic attacks. And I could totally see where if I didn't stop myself, I was going to start spiraling into that cycle if I didn't stop myself.
Jeez. So, I can only imagine.
So that was one of the scary parts. And I can only imagine, if I hadn't been fully vaccinated, what my symptoms could have been, or how ill I could have been, or if I would have needed oxygen and some of those other things, the fatigue, the just entire fatigue. I mean, I was so exhausted physically, and the headaches, I had headaches every single day. Every single day. And nothing I did, Tylenol, anything would make them go away. I just had to deal with them and just rest. And those are a lot of the lessons that I learned going through that was really hard to deal with when you're a person who's used to go all the time,
So you said, I can't, and I was like, you told me that the other day too. And I thought, I cannot imagine having, because you said before you've had migraines and everything. I'm like, nothing was helping you to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Right? Nothing.
Yeah. No, nothing helped at all. And I think when my little one, I remember one day he was like, oh, my head is killing me. And he never says that. He never says that.
He said that?
The little one? Yeah, he said that the one day. Yeah.
Oh.
And that was the thing that was hard, was because, when I was sick, it was just me by myself. But then when he got sick, you can't like quarantine a 4-year-old. You can't tell them to go to a room and stay there. No, they're 4. So I just was like, well, I'm the one who was sickest the most recent. I have the least likelihood of catching it again. So I was staying with him all the time, sleeping with him and taking care of him all the time. And then it even got to the point where, well, we can't keep Ches locked up anymore. My son's name is Cesare. We call him Ches, or the Ches. Yeah. We can't keep the Ches locked up anymore. So we had to set him free at some point. So he was running around with a mask on. And then even towards the end, I mean, there was no getting him to wear a mask. So then everybody else was wearing a mask in the house. And it's just like when you have those little ones, you do what you can. You do the best that you can with what you have. Then that's what you have to do.
You said you were sleeping with him because you couldn't even sleep. You're like, I'm sleeping with him in his bed. You're like, I can't even. You won't even listen to me.
Yeah, laying there while he's like jumping around on the bed and stuff, and I'm just like, go to bed, please, go to bed. And no, I just like. So some nights we just laid there and watched TV, and I mean, tried to get him to go to sleep, but I mean, we made it through.
I know you did. We're here right now. This is wonderful, right? And you know who's here? He was like this all the time.
Yeah.
You see him? Sama's here. Right, Isama? Yes, he came in quite early in the show. But yeah.
Nice.
Yep. You want to say hi to you? And of course, he loves DJ.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, and Howard Kaufman said here too, and he said, unfortunately, pretty soon the non-COVID are going to be the minority.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, I saw this funny meme today about people who haven't got COVID yet, and they're like it's like a picture of The Walking Dead, and it's like a group of them, and it's like you've gotten this far, and I think that's like how my husband feels. I think that's how my husband feels, like he's like, oh, I've gotten this far, you know. So, but so we're just doing our best, and you know.
But I'm so glad you're here, though.
Oh,
I'm so glad I've met you. I'm so glad that you're here. Everyone that's here is glad that you're here. That's for sure. And is Dwellyn Williams?
Dwellyn, yeah.
Yep, she's here too.
Hey, Dwellyn.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's awesome.
Exactly.
And
so
Anthony,
do you want to
trails? They're amazing.
Yeah. So do you want to tell us about? You want to go to? There's 3 questions for you.
Sure.
So would you like to do question 1, question 2, or question 3?
It's
like Jeopardy. 1, 2, or 3.
Let's do number 3.
Well, do. There it is. I love that. Just comes out of the sky. I'm like, so what made you decide to go into nursing?
What made me go into nursing? So when I was little, I either was going to be a veterinarian or doing something in healthcare. That's what I had always thought about.
Wow.
I obviously did not become a vet, but I do love animals, but not a vet. But I don't know. I felt like I had this like purpose, this kind of calling that I just wanted to help people. And I wasn't sure what that was going to look like, but I knew I had like this feeling that that's what I wanted to do. And then my dad ended up working as security at an assisted living facility. And I think that's kind of where I got the idea to go for the nurse aid training, where I figured, let me try this and see what happens. And so that's kind of how I got into nursing. And then I don't even think when I was a nurse aide, I ever thought that I was going to go for my doctorate at all. I don't think that's ever where I initially saw myself. But that's kind of where I ended up now. And I actually I think actually just probably in the past, maybe like 4 years where it's got to be about 5. Got to be about 5 years, because I've been in my doctorate program for 4 now. It should have been 3, but it's 4. Thank you, COVID. So I think maybe like 5 years where I really felt like I wanted to take it to that next level and really just go all out and just get my doctorate and do that. So always kind of somewhere in there, but once I did the nurse aid, and then once I kind of took that next step to the LPN, it kind of just felt natural to go for my RN next. And once I was working as an RN for so long, I just said, let me take it all the way and see how far I can go with this. And just going for that extra bit of my degree has showed me all the opportunities that are out there once you have your nursing license. And this is one thing that I push onto my nursing students. Like I hammer this into them when they start working with me. I tell them, once you have your nursing license, that is yours. Like, you worked your ass off for that. So you need to take that and own it. And there's so many things that you can do with that degree. And it's not just working at a hospital or working for somebody else. You take that degree and you take your experience and you find something that you really love, that you feel called to do, and you can apply your nursing license to it. I can find anything that you want to do. You can apply your nursing license with that and do that. And that's what I really hammer into them, because I never had anybody teach me about nurse entrepreneurship or even talk about it. I thought that once I got my nursing license, that I was gonna have to work in a hospital, and that was going to be my life. And I didn't know about all the great and awesome opportunities that are out there once you have your nursing license. It's incredible.
We know about another nursing license you're going for, which I don't have as one of the questions. Should I
you
like
can ask me that. Yeah, you can ask me
that. But that's not one of the questions. DJ just know about that. But there's something you were looking at going into on the side. Well, it was going to be full time, I believe. But I understand that Ohio's a little bit difficult right now for different reasons in the cannabis industry.
Yeah.
Because I studied that for a long time myself. So would you like to talk about that a little bit? Because Canada and I think it's Oregon just came out with the whole thing about the cannabis is actually helping COVID patients.
Yeah. So when I first started thinking about wanting to work for myself, having my own business, do something on my own, it was probably about 4 years ago. And when I initially thought about starting a business, I had seen how popular and more mainstream cannabis was becoming. And I'm all about holistic and alternative medicine. I'm all into that. And I totally believe in that. And I believe in all those complementary therapies. And I believe that there's a way to bridge the East and West, the traditional and non-traditional. I believe that there's a way to have them work together so that we can give patients the best outcomes possible, because everybody's a little different. Not everything's going to work for everybody.
Right.
And so I had went and got my cannabis certification for nursing, because my thought was I was going to start like a cannabis consulting type of business, and do that as my business that I was going to have. Well, Ohio is not as up to the top as other places.
Anything going on that?
So it's something that I'm knowledgeable about, and still that I'm very interested about, and definitely something that I feel like all nurses need to know about, because we've got patients who are engaging in it, whether medicinally or recreationally. So we need to have some knowledge about it. And then if patients come in, we need them to be honest about their usage and not make them feel like we're, like the police or something, interrogating them. Like, just be honest. So if I even have a little bit of an inkling, like my patient, does that, I just encourage them, and I just let them know straight out, like, I'm not here to judge you. You let me know what you're doing, and I want to be able to take care of you the best way that I can, but I need you to be honest with me. So, letting them be honest about their usage and what they're doing and how they're using it. And then I also tell my students that too. I'm like, this is real life. This is what's going to happen. So we need to expose you to this, and you need to know a little bit about it. So I don't make it like a big secret, but I don't talk about it very much, because it's not really part of my main business that I have right now. But I'm definitely open to it. I am all for it. I'm just waiting for Ohio to catch up with everybody.
Well, I think one thing, there was a reason that I brought this up, is because what some people don't understand, I'm sure you know this, is that people do need to tell the doctors if they're going to surgery, because they might need to get more anesthetic, because anesthetic doesn't work as well if you're using cannabis, period. It just doesn't. It's not as strong. So I have friends that use cannabis because they have cancer and everything else, but they go under the knife and they wake up in the middle of surgery. I don't think you guys want to wake up in the middle of surgery. So, and they're not saying you have to stop before the surgery, because maybe you can't. But the thing is, you just need to tell your doctors. There's nothing wrong with that. Most states are legal now, so it's okay.
Yeah, and especially like I've done home care quite a bit, and especially when you have home care patients or hospice. I did hospice for many years, and I absolutely love hospice. And you've got those hospice patients. I'm like, let them do whatever it is that they want to do. If it makes them feel good, let them do it. And it's all about the quality of the life that you have. And I mean, I absolutely love all the principles of hospice, and it's amazing. And that's why, if you're a home nurse going into that situation, you need to know what's up and what they're doing, and be able to talk with your patient about that. So there's a lot of different scenarios that you should be knowledgeable about this, because there are people doing it, and it's
a lot of people are, actually, most of the country. But people are like, no, I'm not. I'm like, You probably are, but you just don't want to tell people because you're afraid you're going to get in trouble. But that's another story. That's another podcast that we're going to have in a couple weeks. But anyway, but Tim just said, "Oh my God." So I got Jenny. Can't believe you're going down that. He goes, GJ, oh my God. I'm like, I know. Sorry, Tim. I'm sorry, Tim. But he knows that that's what I do. So sorry. But he's also calling out GJ because she's going on her 1-year anniversary of having podcasts. I have podcasts with him.
Amazing.
Yeah, right. Yay. Thank you, GJ. So anyway, how about you want to go behind door number 2 or door number 3?
Let's just continue going backwards. So we'll go to number 2.
Okay. You have a new venture entitled Spice You and Spice Buddy. What do they stand for?
Yes. There are some like super exciting things, especially for like Valentine's Day, self-love time. So yeah, Valentine's Day will have some really great, exciting announcements. So definitely
Wow.
put me along so that you can stay up to date on what is going to be happening around Valentine's Day. But so Spice, as you can see my lovely little sign there. So Spice really is what I consider. Nursing has a head-to-toe assessment, right? You get a head-to-toe assessment.
Yep.
I think of Spice as my head-to-soul assessment. So I love holistic nursing. I love everything that holistic stands for. And so I created Spice to be like the head-to-soul assessment. And so each letter of Spice stands for something. And it really is kind of like a culmination of all the things that I have used in my life to beat depression, to beat anxiety, to beat chronic disease, my health I had issues with, just being overwhelmed and dealing with grief. Life happens whether you're in school or you have a job or whatever, it doesn't ever go smoothly. And when I was finishing my LPN degree, well, I had just started my LPN program. I was like in my 20s. I only had 2 kids at that time. My daughter had just turned 1 and my son just was 3. My dad had a huge heart attack and a stroke, ended up in rehab. And then while he was in rehab, his wife, my stepmom, decided to divorce him and leave him because he was sick. So he ended up coming to live with me and my husband and the kids. So my dad's fresh out of rehab, with a cane, with a walker. He's diabetic, needs insulin, AccuChecks, medications. He needs to eat, all the things. So I'm here trying to finish LPN school, raise 2 little kids, and take care of my dad. And I was successful finishing my LPN program, but unfortunately my dad did pass away a couple weeks after that. He ended up having a blood clot that went to his brain. He had another stroke and he was not able to recover from that. So I had to manage the household and stay in school because I really wanted to finish my degree, had to raise my kids. I had to deal with the grief and grieve, all with everything going on. So I had to learn a lot of coping strategies. I had to learn a lot of resilience. I had to learn a lot of processes. I had to learn how to keep myself on a schedule, how to keep my kids on a schedule. I had to learn how to take care of myself. And I've just built on that year after year as I've gone through program after program and challenge after challenge in my life. So I decided to put all that together because I had, thanks, Mama. Thank you. I appreciate that. What was I going to say? Oh, I just lost my train of thought.
I thought maybe I don't have bacon, so I couldn't
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah.
No bacon. Comment.
No bacon needed yet.
No, right. I know. Right.
Oh, yeah. Because I was going to say, and I've gone through all of this and gotten to where I am. And the one thing that I always had, like students ask me and coworkers, because they were always like, Alex, you always have a positive attitude and you're upbeat and we love working with you, and just comments like that all the time. And then when they would ask me about, my home life or what I was doing, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm working like 2 jobs and I'm teaching on the weekend and I'm doing this and I'm doing this. And they're like, how do you have time for all that? Like, how do you do all of that? And I figured out that I had just kind of figured out the magic formula, and that if I could do it for myself, I could teach other people how to do it too. Like there was nothing like super magical or unique about me. It was just I had figured out the processes and the steps and the systems that needed to be followed so that I could have a life and follow my dreams and do what I wanted to do, like build a business during the pandemic and be in doctoral, and be in graduate school and raise 3 kids, all of those things. It's possible. It is possible. And so that's what I wrapped up and made into Spice. So the S of Spice stands for spirit, so spiritual health. And then the P stands for physical health. The I stands for insight, because that's such a huge part of my transformation was the self-awareness and my insight, and working on my mindset was such a huge part, especially overcoming the anxiety and the depression. And the C stands for career, because our career is so important. It's how we show up in the world, how we support our families, and how we serve others. And that was such a huge part, because how many times do you hear people say, I don't know what I want to do with my life, and they just feel lost. So working on that part. And then the E stands for the emotional health. So really caring for ourselves emotionally and self-love. And I wrapped, yes, there it is, Spice. And that's how I wrapped it up. So I really created a program based on all of that, and all of the tools and the systems and the time management and the productivity and all the little secret pieces and parts that I have, that I do in my day-to-day. I wrap that all up so that I could help other people. I can help other nurses and teachers and whoever that is just really motivated and really wants to do things in their life. I can pretty much show you step by step how to get there and how to do it in a way that supports yourself in a healthy and balanced way.
Wow. I think she just answered number 2.
What
about number 3? Are you ready for number 3? Or do you want to say hi to people? Want to say hi to people, or do you want to do number 3?
No, let's say hi to people.
Number 3.
I love to
say hi to people. So Philip Jones is here. And he's right behind DJ. I think he's in school, possibly with
No, he's got a show. He's got a great he's all about kidney and all about
he's kidney too.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I'd love to talk to you. And then we've got Tim's here. Of course, Tim's getting ready for his show. Now we're going to talk about Tim's show really quick, because Tim's show is a cancer show, and it will be on at, I think it's 2 hours past hour past our show. So as East Coast time, maybe 8 o'clock East Coast time, I believe. But they will have Marsha Reese on there today talking about colon cancer. That whole show is about cancer. He's doing a great job with Kara with that show. And so I told him that we'd send all of you over there after we're done. And then he was my teacher too. So who else is here? Tim's here. Usama was here, but it's very late where he is. So he probably popped off.
Yeah.
Anthony Reed is here still, I believe. And a whole bunch of other people. Oh, there she is. Ligata, is that?
Hey, Mama.
She's been here for a while. She came in right away, and she was very excited to see this today too. And we've got Gwendolyn Williams, who's here. We talked to him. Howard Kaufman was here. And he was doing his best to come on and say hi to everybody today, because he's on a different time zone. Stephen Kaplan's here. Oh, Stephen, totally came in. I didn't even see you. Sorry. I'm sorry, because I knew you were going to come, Stephen, so I really apologize. And we've got, who else is here? I think that's about it so far, unless I'm missing somebody. I'm really sorry I'm not missing anybody. But thank you guys all for showing up. But now we're going to go on to question number 3. It's behind door number 3. And Tim thinks it's really funny that we're playing Jeopardy. Jeopardy song. Dee, 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 dee. But I don't know where question number 3 is. I'm sure it's going to come up pretty soon here.
Or was it was maybe question number 1. Maybe that's
maybe question number 2. Question number 2. Now question number 1, 2.
We did them backwards. We did 3, 2.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Oh, sorry. You just confused the.
It's okay.
It's my fault. That is totally my fault. Anyway, I will. It's kind of cute though. So I was going to say, Howard's still here. Howard, do you have any more questions to ask her about COVID. I know National Guard is actually in Arizona now because their uptick of people in the hospitals is not good right now. So they are looking for that. Do you know anything about that? About the uptick or anything, or have you heard about that?
I haven't heard. I just know, like, in our local area, because the where I'm at, they're bringing in like the National Guard and like the Air Force to support the staff that's working. Yeah, so yeah, and I know we're doing virtual clinical for right now as well.
Okay,
it's a little bit of an iffy situations, at the hospital. So
it's still okay. I think we might have erased question number 3.
That's okay.
Pre-programming. I think we took that one off. Right, added in more of your natural stuff that you're doing.
Oh,
but, right? Yes, that was a surprise question right there.
Oh, okay.
That's a surprise question. But I think a lot of people probably like that question because a lot of people don't understand what they should say to doctors and nurses about that. And honestly, again, guys, please just be honest because there are a lot of things that coincide with what we're talking about, but it can still be, there are some things that you cannot do along with some of the cannabis things. I think primarily, I'd say blood thinners, maybe some blood thinners. Yeah. So, but is there anything else you would love to tell us about you and about what you're doing right now?
What was I going to say? I was going to say something. I was going to talk about, and I don't know if you're okay with talking about this, but one of the things, and I kind of touched on a little bit earlier, but about kind of like the emotional stress that people have been going through and the grief and loss that a lot of people have been dealing with. And it can be really difficult. And I think more, and I don't want to sound weird by saying this, but more and more, half of this office building that's yours. Yeah. So
that's in Arizona.
Yeah, and it can kind of make people feel weird because this is going on, and people can be not so nice sometimes, but it's only because because they're scared and because they feel weird, I guess is kind of a way to say it. And dealing with grief and loss because a lot of people are losing people close to them. And that was one thing that I was seeing personally where I had been working at was so many younger and younger people in the hospital and younger people passing away, or people that you didn't expect were passing away. And it's really hard to deal with. And I can't even count all the people that I see, even just on Facebook and like LinkedIn that I'm connected with that say, my so-and-so, just passed away. My so-and-so just passed away. Like we're seeing that so much more and more. And for me, a part of me is sort of used to that because, like I said before, we see that in the hospital. It's a part of like what we go through when we work in healthcare. But I think for more of like everyday people, that's really hard to deal with, and that dealing with the grief and dealing with the loss is really difficult. And one of the things I just want to share about that is kind of going back to like those principles of hospice, of like really just celebrating, like enjoying the time that you have with the person and celebrating their life. Don't sit there and grieve and mourn and loss. Just don't go to that direction. There's a time to grieve. I don't want to underplay that at all because you have to grieve, but don't diminish yourself. Don't stop yourself from doing things or stop living your life because their life is because they're not alive anymore. And that's not what they would want for you. No. So kind of reframe your perspective of how you're dealing with that, because grief can be very difficult to deal with. I mean, I dealt with it for sure. So it can be very difficult to deal with, but what you want to think of is that you have your own life to live. You probably have a lot of other people that depend on you as well. So it's all about switching your perspective and really celebrating the life that the person lived, celebrating the memories. Don't forget about them. Don't not talk about them, but do it with do it with an air of like happiness, not with sadness. Do it celebrating them and really uplifting them and their memory and advice that they gave to you, how they lived your life, things that you loved about them, things that made you laugh. That is the way that you will really be able to ride that wave of grief a lot better than going into that hopelessness and that despair.
So are you seeing other patients, though, that don't have COVID in ICU, just like heart attacks and cancer patients and things like that? Because we have lots of friends on LinkedIn who have lost dads, moms, sisters, brothers from cancer, and they're not really getting celebrated as much. I shouldn't say celebrated if you lose COVID, like if you die from COVID,
Yeah.
COVID, but they're not being recognized like the COVID patients. And I think that's a little bit difficult on people that are losing people to diabetes, losing people to heart attacks, etc. There's a lot of other deaths, right?
Yeah.
The flu is out there. People are still dying of the flu. So it's kind of like, how are they recognized? How do you think that's being handled?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think those like the normal everyday things that people are passing away from. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, do it with grace. Yeah, it's people are not really acknowledging that as much as all these people passing away from COVID or from Omicron or Delta or whatever it is. Whatever version you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it isn't. And that's the thing, that we have just people passing away from natural causes or whatever. And the same thing goes. Do it the same way. Do it with grace. Celebrate their lives. Uplift them. Uplift their memories.
Exactly.
But I agree. I mean, yeah, we've still got everyday people. Things still happen. People still have heart attacks. People are still having cancer. People are still needing open heart surgeries.
Exactly.
We still are doing all of those things. So it's
it's not all COVID. It's not all COVID.
Exactly.
I think that's what's bothering people, because they're like, my dad just died of X, Y, and Z. Not my dad, but whatever. And it's not COVID. Like, it was from COVID. And so they get upset. Like, are they only recognizing people with COVID? So, and we're not trying to say, hey, we're only going to talk about COVID. She's a nurse. So if you guys have any questions, please bring them in. Right.
Yeah.
Just bring them on. But anyway, I think were there a couple more things you want to tell us about? Maybe we're 47 minutes in. I'm pretty proud of you, because I said it was only going to be 45, maybe. But this is a really big topic, right? So I know a lot of people.
It can be. Yeah, it can be. And that's what the other thing I kind of wanted to say about like having COVID and with me, and like, I'm like a teacher and I'm like the nurse and I'm the mom, and then I'm like running a business, and like I'm just like really getting ramped up in my business, and then like boom, I get sick and I'm just like out of the game. And it was like, at first it was really hard because I couldn't believe that I was sick. That was like, I was like, oh my gosh, no way. And then I was like, yeah, Alex, you are sick. Like, stop it. And then after that, I felt terribly guilty. I felt super guilty because I thought I was like going to infect my entire family and my mom and everybody that lived over there, because our 4-year-old had went over there prior to, us going on vacation and stuff. And then I felt super guilty for that. Then I had to talk myself out of that. And Alex, no, you didn't do anything on purpose. You didn't know. So don't feel guilty about that.
Right.
And then after that, it just was like really just surrendering myself to like letting be what is, because I couldn't have any control over the situation. And that was a lot of just being at peace with me and just being at peace in the moment. It was a different pace to get used to, like that. And once I kind of settled into that, I felt better, but it took some adjusting. It definitely took, and I didn't think that was going to happen to me. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't prep for that. Like nobody like warned me maybe about that. And so that was kind of really weird for me to just stop doing everything I was doing and to not do anything. And I was able to do stuff like here and there. And I think every other entrepreneur or business owner can relate. Like, you can never really get out of work mode. And if you have some time to do something, you're going to do it no matter what. So I would fit that in a little bit, but for the most part, I couldn't do any of that kind of stuff. And so I just had to just chill out and be alone and think. And it was really difficult sometimes, but I tried to like create some routines for myself, because that was the other thing was, being up all night, and then I was like sleeping and everything was all out of whack. So trying to create some sort of a routine for myself while I was there alone was important for me too.
Yeah.
And so I tried creating a routine for myself, and I tried making sure I was eating and drinking how I should be and taking my vitamins and doing all those things. And I did end up getting the Regeneron, the antibody infusion, the monoclonal antibody infusion. I did end up getting that.
Wow.
Yep, I got that. And that didn't work. Like right after I got the infusion, the nurse asked like, "Oh, so do you feel better?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." Like I don't.
Yeah, like that. You're like, okay, yeah, I feel better. I can go home.
I'm gonna feel better, but I didn't. It took about the next day, and then actually the day after, I really started feeling better, because I really wasn't feeling very good for a few days. And then once I got that, I did start feeling better. So that really helped. So doing all those things, and I did use that time to, and this was another thing that I don't want to like spill the beans too early, but one of the things that I did do is I started like watching videos and learning, and I do this anyways, but I really had a lot of extra time to like watch videos and learn things about different topics that I was interested in. And so that's another thing I suggest is if you've got this downtime, to kind of use it for good. And if you want to learn something or dive more deep into something that you never have time to before, this is a good time, because you're not doing anything else. So I use that. Yeah. So I used that time for that. And I did a lot of like deep thinking about me and my life, and about what I was going through, and about other patients I had taken care of, and what they were going through and what their families were going through. And it really gave me like a lot to think about, and really changed kind of like my perception of the current situation. And you can't really understand what somebody else is going through until you've gone through it. And then so that did kind of help that I went through it now. And so now I have a better understanding of what other people are going through. And that's why I kind of had put together some of those things that I put together, because I feel like even if you're not in quarantine all throughout the pandemic, this kind of does apply, because our lives are a lot different than they were before. So a lot of the things I talk about are things that we can do in quarantine or out of quarantine, because if you think about it, somebody in your family gets sick, you're going to be in quarantine for some period of time, in and out, and depending on who you live with and what your job is, like you might be in and out of quarantine. So it's, if you kind of got some tools and something to kind of guide you through that, it makes it a little bit better, instead of going into it like totally unprepared and you don't know what to do with yourself.
I guess it just popped in for you.
Miss Nancy
and Emily came in too.
Hey guys, thank you.
Yeah, Emily is really excited to see this too. So Emily, definitely watch the rerun. It's a great show. She's traveling quite a bit around right now.
Nice.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Hi Emily. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm super excited. Thanks you guys for coming in. Anyway, because I just took over the feed. I was not supposed to do that. See, I'm not a good co-producer. I'm like, hey, DJ, thank you. No, I'm going to take over. I'm just kidding. But I just want to get them in, because I would love to for you to talk about how people can get in touch with you. Unless there's anything else you want to chat about, because we're going to chat about your giveaway. Now it's almost time for the giveaway. Oh, and let's give a shout out to the remote production of Socks.
Amazing.
Hey, thank you, DJ.
Amazing.
So, anyway, so I wanted you to talk about your giveaway.
Yeah.
Because I think that's amazing. And I think a lot of what you're talking about now is probably in the giveaway, because I read it.
Oh, thanks.
Great. Yes. Thank you.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I put together an ebook that I have, and it's called 16 Life Lessons I Learned During Quarantine. And so, like I said, it's 16 life lessons I learned in quarantine, but things that can apply in and out of quarantine. So whether you're homebound for a little bit, or if you're going to be homebound for an extended period of time, or just good stuff to deal with those wrenches that life throws at you. It can really help you through all of those. And so I made this ebook. So it's a free download for you. And Miss Jenny has the link and you can definitely click on it. I would love for you to check it out and give me some feedback. Get in contact with me. I'd love to know what you think. And if there's any pieces and parts in there that you might need more support with, I talk a lot about, well, one of my areas that I really love talking about is like time blocking and time management and productivity. So there's a little blurb in there about that. And kind of how I talked about, if you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, like you are always go, 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 and you're going to find yourself working on something no matter what. And so I said that quarantine is like a really good time to learn about time blocking and start using that and learning how to do it. And then because once you get out of quarantine, you're going to have so much more on your plate. And if you already kind of established this and then started establishing some boundaries and some really nice opening times and closing times for yourself, you can really take your schedule and your productivity to the next level if you kind of started doing this already. So all good little tips that you can use in and out of quarantine for all things. Yeah. And it's a free ebook, free download. And I'd love for you guys to check it out.
Looks like Nancy just said she definitely used that. She goes, she definitely used that. I do too. So you guys, it's a really long link, I guess, to get the book. So if you guys can go onto Jenny's Gold Standard on LinkedIn or Facebook, and you can hit her link there to get the book. Just put your first name, last name, and the email address.
It's really easy.
And it's an ebook, so you'll get it. It'll be great. It's a great book. It's great context in there. And the thing is, you guys, it's not just for COVID. It's just for life. It's really, it's during quarantine, but even if you haven't had COVID, it doesn't matter. There are a lot of life lessons in there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And as I said, if you're a person, and even like if you're a person who is, with an autoimmune disease or a chronic disease, and it's like you're just not going out as much as you used to, or if something happened and you're more homebound than you were before, it's a really good just resource for you to start establishing some good habits. Yeah, especially if you're like, I don't know what to do with myself, and you're like, I don't ever get anything done, but you're home all day, and it's like you can start establishing some good routines and habits for yourself. And this is just a good little guide for that.
Yeah. I would take it from the nurse. Nurse? Right, nurse? Alex? Nurse Alex. I think call you Nurse Alex or Nurse Alexandra.
I like Alex better.
Oh, you did? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Dang, I would have called you. You said Alex at the beginning. I was like, Miss Alexandria.
That's okay. Yeah, Alexandria is more formal, yes, but it never fits on it. It never fits on a name tag, so I always just say Alex.
Like Jennifer, I'm like, if somebody says, "Hey, Jennifer Gold," I'm like, are you my parents like yelling at me right now? Right? It's kind of like that. It's like your parents are yelling at you.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I love my name. It's just, you can call me Alex. It's definitely fine.
I'm just call me Jenny. Anyway, you guys. So does anybody else have any questions before we go? It's been a big show tonight. Big show. I hope you guys have all learned a lot on this show tonight. Hopefully there weren't too many triggers.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah. But it's life. Life has a lot of triggers in it. So, but yeah.
It's about time to bring a nurse on.
And even if people don't feel comfortable right now, you can always reach out to me. I'm always open to connect with other people. So you can always shoot me a message because I'm all over. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and all the places. So you're more than welcome to send me a message with any questions.
Yeah, absolutely. How else do you want people to get in touch with you? Like LinkedIn or? Yeah,
LinkedIn is great. Facebook is great. Okay. Instagram. I'm on Instagram. Or email's fine.
Email, just be a friend.
I'm super friendly. So any way you want to connect with me is just fine with me.
Thank you, Alexandra. Or Alex. Oh my gosh.
It's okay.
It's so great you came on the show tonight. Seriously, you guys, it's great. It's wonderful that you've been on the show tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. You have to go back to your little one. It's well now, right?
Well. Yeah, everybody's home. He was out there screaming. I heard somebody yelling at him to shush.
No, All right.
He always ends up making an appearance in some type of video that I'm doing, in some type of video. Yeah, because I have like a daily video I do called Daily Dose of Spice, and if he's around, he's gonna be in it. Or if it's like a Wednesday show, he's gonna be in it. Oh, and I'm on YouTube as well. I forgot to say that too. Yeah, I just started my whole like YouTube journey, so I'm trying to go more onto YouTube than the other platforms.
Okay.
So for like videos and anything that I do are mostly going to be there. But I'm still making daily videos on LinkedIn and on Facebook and on YouTube. So you can always go there.
Is that under your name, under Alexandria Rose?
If you put in if you put in Alexandria Rosa and then put Spice at the end of it, you'll find me there. Yeah, I've got lots of videos about being a mom in grad school and like real life stuff that I'm going through, and time management, productivity. And actually I have a lot of videos on there too about kidney health, because I've had some really great partners in the kidney world, and we've made some really great content around kidney health and diabetes, blood pressure, all of that. So, and dialysis, because I'm here for a lot of dialysis patients. So we have a lot of great info for that as well. So you'll find some playlists on there as well related to that.
I think I have some upcoming people on my podcast that need that information for dialysis, not dialysis, but kidney issues and diabetes and things like that. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Alex. And I forgot to tell you, I have all gold on for you today.
I know you do. My gold doesn't look very gold, though. I was like, whoops.
Yeah, you had your sparkles.
She likes the sparkles.
I love sparkles.
Yeah, it's more sparkles, Jenny. I'm like, okay. Yeah, sparkles over here on my screen. Right.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, everybody, thank you for coming tonight. God bless you. Stay well. And please get in touch with us if you need help, okay? Please. Thank you. Love you guys.